That's a good idea.
We are the co-founders of the Walhalla Book Club. My therapist said the only way I can relate to people is through books, but that's not true.
I originally intended to join Stories, the elite book club of Walhalla. In a moment of weakness, I agreed that we should start our own club.
It is going to be great!
Hello, everybody! This is book club. I've got the books.
Chad.
Take one, pass one.
Their prescription.
Okay.
No, I'm here for book club. I'm Lewis.
And this lovely little China doll right here is my new friend.
Knock, knock.
There is nothing like cruising with the top down reading your Kindle, huh?
Name we Nandeska.
Listen up, right here. There's only money in the town budget for one book club.
Books have me hooked!
You just watched the trailer for the web series, The Book Club. Now, what I really love about this series is the good acting, the great writing, and it's really filled with humor. Let's meet the creators.
Well, actually, Jessica and I went to college together. We went to a liberal arts college in Minnesota called Concordia College.
Oh, okay.
And I was a senior, and Jessica was a freshman.
Yeah, and I thought he was the coolest. I was really, really intimidated by him and his success. I was just a little freshman.
She was delusional then, and she's delusional now. And then I graduated and moved to New York, and then flash forward, I guess, like 3 or 4 years, and then we both sort of moved to LA around the same time, and sort of reconnected and really bonded and got to started working together.
Well, we started because we're both actors here as well as writers, and so we were just feeling a little stuck, like in the industry, not like getting the auditions we wanted or we deserved, or so we just started meeting every week to kind of pump ourselves up, kind of like an accountability group. Yeah, just the two of us though.
And my handicapped cats.
Yeah, yes, and his cat. Great, make us look more sad. No, but so we just started meeting, and then we thought we should just make our own thing because, we're tired of waiting around for other people to put us in their things. So. Yeah, so we had wanted to do something, we didn't really know what, and then I had gone to a casting director workshop, and during the casting workshop, I won't name any names, but during the casting workshop, he told all of us that actors shouldn't read. Instead, they should spend all their time watching TV and movies. And we're both huge readers, and so I was appalled at that. I was just so mad, and like he's, the stereotype already that actors are stupid. And so it's like he's just helping with that. And so when I was driving home, I called Noah, and I was like, we have to make a whole show just about books. And like, it would be awesome, and it'll combine them both. So yeah, so that's what we decided to do.
Yeah. Originally, we'd seen this there's an online contest that was, enter your web series or your whatever, and we were kind of gearing up to do that, and we actually met with a production company that Jessica had known from a friend, and we were so nervous, and we went to not Staples,
yes,
but what was
Kinko's.
It? Kinko's, and we were photocopying the whole season, and we had met with them, and we presented it, and we were hoping that they were gonna either like invest in it or to help us shoot it, and they were really interested in it, and they were really excited about it, but we ended up not going forward with them, and we sort of were like, what are we gonna do? And at that time, the woman who lived underneath Jessica, they had met because Jessica's tire was flat,
my car needed jumping.
That's right.
Yeah,
car needed jumping. And we knew that she worked in the industry. She was an AD, and so Jessica had said, well, maybe we should, just ask her and see if, because she worked on Southland, and at that point Southland had been on hiatus, and they didn't know if it was coming back or not. And she said, well, maybe we should just ask her and see if she knows anybody or if she'd be interested. And she walked down and said, would you be interested in directing this? And she said, yeah. And so she, from that point, sort of accumulated this big group of people, a lot of people that...
God bless Katie Wheelhouse.
Yeah. And then that's essentially how the pilot kind of moved forward, and you know, all the things that we had no idea how to do, like get a grip and get, you know, a second somebody and a script supervisor. Who knows? You need a script supervisor.
Yeah, exactly. But we found out you do.
Yeah, or at least your editor definitely thinks you do.
Exactly.
I think honestly, one of the things that was most challenging that you wouldn't think would be challenging is finding a location. Partially because in LA, it's, you know, everywhere you go, you need a permit, or you know, you need, and that ends up being one of the most expensive things, you know. And you're thinking, how can you? And then even through the film board, if you find a place that you know, you can film for free, you still have to pay for a monitor, which ends up costing almost the same amount of money anyway. But we were.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Yeah, we really wanted it to be like in a community center or in a gym or something. And, you know, we talked about a lot of people that we know that filmed web series just did it in their house or did it like in their apartment or something. But we just really didn't want to do that because we had ideas for behind this, like in the background of the community center. So we were really adamant. So it was really difficult.
Yeah, and we were lucky enough. One of the actors in the cast knew a woman who ran a dance studio in Santa Monica who had kind of shut down during the week that we did it, and so
She gave us a great deal, and
so we kind of went forward.
It was fun as actors to be on the other side, and like I think we both learned so much about what, like, just the audition process, or even what people bring in with them when they come into the audition. But yeah, we put it out on Actors Access, like just
And the breakdown.
And the breakdown services, and we just auditioned a lot of people. We had something like 600 submissions for one role. Like it was incredible for us to see
that other side.
Yeah, and think, how do you even pick, like, for people to even come in and audition? So, yeah.
And I think, two of the things that we learned that we hold with us now, even as performers, is that, like, casting directors always say that when you're going into an audition, that it makes their job so much easier if you're right for the role, you know. And I think it got to one of the roles in our series is sort of the Midwest mother. She's kind of that quintessential. She's the only one with a real Midwest accent, because there's always that woman who's just has a little bit more, kind of talks a little bit like she's from the Midwest. And it was interesting because it got to the point where so many women, you know, who their agents or managers had submitted that couldn't do a Midwest accent, and
they looked perfect, but they couldn't. I don't know. There's something different or wrong about it.
And there was a woman who came in that we both really loved, that we loved her reel, and you know, she was from New York, and we were like, oh, you know, but we didn't think, oh, did she look the role?
She's too young, and she's too pretty, and she's too, like, you know.
But she just walked in, and she was ready to just let go, and she improv'd and just had so much fun, and we were just so grateful. And so you learn that, like, oftentimes what you think you want can be changed into what is better for, you know, for the show. So you
do have to be, as an actor, you have to be aware. You can't have any illusions about who you are. Like, you know, I wouldn't go out for, like, really mean, drugged out prostitute. Right? Like, that's not really, I mean, I can play that, but on first appearance, like, you know, I get quirky a lot, or, you know, and so you have to just be comfortable in that, no matter how much, like, as when I was a lot younger, in my youth, I really wish that I could be, you know, the Angelina Jolie, or, you know, that person, that, like, sex pot hot girl, but, you know, that's not. To be honest with myself, like, I can do comedy, and that's something special too. And you have to just, like, be comfortable with that. And so as far as when we were writing book club, I think we kind of thought, what character, at least I did, what character would be the most fun for us to play, and would be a stretch, but also, like, what we'd been in for before. Yeah.
And I also think too that and I think we're really lucky, the two of us, because there's a lot of trust here. And I think even when we were in the beginning stages of some of the character stuff, you know, the character that I play, Thad, is sort of this literary elitist who's very tightly wound, and you know, and he's married to a woman, but it's sort of clear to everybody that maybe he doesn't, you know, like women, you know. But he's very committed to that, and I think when we were originally writing the character, you know, we originally made him gay, and then we sort of went back, and there's just a lot of back and forth as to, like, how do you take what is an archetype and then make it deeper? How do you know, what's going to give him more, where to grow, and how are we going to make him a stronger character and maybe have an inner struggle. And I think what's great about us and our partnership and thing is that I would never let her play a role that I didn't think she could do, just because, not that I
Thanks.
wouldn't, but I think it goes the same way too.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think more than anything, I would rather sacrifice, maybe in my mind what I see myself as, or what for the quality of the show, because I think you kind of have to check your ego at the door, especially when you're writing it, acting in it, producing in it, Yeah.
Especially with comedy. And I think that also when we were writing it, we kind of put our secret selves and our most neurotic selves on high for our characters. I'm not addicted to prescription medication, but that's funny to me, and I can see where it would be, my energy and quirk, you just turn up a couple notches, and Noah really does have cats, and
handicapped cats.
And where I'm a little bit more of Noah can be a little bit more conservative, so we just turn that up on high, and then you kind of create. But mainly, you just have to be comfortable with who you really are. I mean, you can't kid yourself if you're serious in this business. You can't kid yourself that no matter who you want to play, you should, if you want to be successful, you have to focus on who you can play.
I mean, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I lived in New York for 4 years, and I did a lot of theater in the city and also regional theater. And one of the things I love about theater is that you have that opportunity to play completely out of your own thing. And one of the reasons why I moved to LA was because the thing about LA is you really are cast by who you are, and I mean, unless you're Meryl Streep, who can pretty much play anything. But there's something much more comforting in that, you're not being asked to play 90-year-old grandfathers and, 18-year-old prostitutes. You're just kind of who you are, and that makes it easier, and it also helps to really find your path. All of them on paper originally, they were sort of these archetypal, the Midwest mother and sort of the, guy who just got out of prison who's doing it for community service, and there's a woman who was trying to learn English, and so originally they were all sort of stock things, and then because
what we would think is funny, we just kind of thought, what would that be like?
In a lot of ways, it's sort of the most unlikely group of people coming together trying to relate, which I think helps with longevity. And what was great also too, shooting the pilot originally and then having a year off, we forced ourselves to sit down and say, how can we make them become three-dimensional? How can we give them, so that it's not just about the joke, but it's about people that are there because they really want to be there because they don't have anybody else to be with, in a way.
And the actors too, I mean, they lent their own.
Yeah, we were very lucky.
So lucky, and they all brought something. We wrote very, especially in the pilot, they're pretty stereotypical, it's just the pilots kind of get in and tell you the story really quick and get out. And then the rest of the series is about unfolding. And so they brought a lot of depth to characters that maybe, especially right away, didn't have a lot of depth to them. Especially the girl who doesn't speak English, the joke there is that we're making fun of this, of the stereotype. It's so stereotypical that it's almost like a commentary on stereotypes, is what we meant for it to be. Okay. And so it's really overblown and silly, and of course, it's ridiculous, but she brings, there's something behind Elaine is the actor's name, something behind her eyes that is a little bit smart. It's she knows what's going on and she's doing it anyway. Mm-hmm. So there's a depth there that we really appreciate.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at least this is my new thing. I don't know if it's working yet, but we'll see. It's about spinning it differently, because I actually just went to a birthday party over the weekend, and somebody who used to live here doesn't live here, and he moved back to Portland, and it was his birthday party, and he was cornering me and saying, tell me about, I'm so proud of you, I've watched them all in a row, that's so great. And somebody in the group was like, what is it? What do you, it's a web series? And my new thing is I say, it's a TV show, but it's on the internet.
Yeah.
And I think that, and then people are like, okay.
And I think also getting people there is a trick, especially my grandparents who are lovely but live in rural North Dakota, and they don't really know they don't have the internet at all. And so like and so then in that case it's really difficult. Like I think that it's either a city or a young like thing, you know, and by young I mean like 50 and under. And even just mixed media like magazines and TV shows. I mean, I've never seen an advertisement for a web series on actual TV, but I think like that would be really awesome, and also something that would drive all the people that watch TV, watch Wheel of Fortune. Hi, Grandpa. That like would drive them like to the internet to see it. You know, if it's really catchy or.
I think we're on the brink of a revolution. I mean, I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, whether or not we're a part of that or not, but I think that,
Leading it.
and it's a weird thing because I, you know, and I shouldn't admit this, but I have a hard time watching TV on my computer. But I know, I mean, I have a TV and, you know, I shouldn't say that, but I do. I mean, there are shows that I do watch. But I think what's interesting about it is that, you know, an article came out recently that I read that said most people nowadays between 27 and 35 watch all of their TV on their computer because we're in the middle of a recession and people don't have money for cable, and so they get Netflix or they watch stuff on Hulu Plus. And so what I think is interesting is that we're kind of moving that way where there are TVs that are coming out now that are connected to your computer where you can scroll through, and
Which is awesome.
Which is neat. And I think you know, hopefully things get sorted out so all of the right people get paid for the way that it's supposed to be paid, which I know is a big deal.
We've had season 2 in mind for book club since season 1. I think, you know, the story, even though they're short and little and there's only so much plot you can throw in at one time without making it really boring, I think we've tried to give a lot of the characters the arc. Like Marlo, Thad, Lewis and Sharon kind of have a little arc, and Jack and Aubrey, like all these characters, they're going places, and we want them to be different in the ending place than they were in the beginning. So we've always had a larger picture in mind. So we would love to do a season 2. We're kind of hoping that we get enough views and enough fans to push us towards that. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we're also working on other projects as well. We're working on a new pilot that could be for the web, or it could be, you know, even for just TV. And I think, you know, eventually the two of us, once we've had a little bit of time away from book club, once things are, you know, once we can sort of objectively stand away from it, I think we'll buckle down and we'll just start writing season 2. And I think that there's a lot of, and this kind of goes back to your question earlier about like what, you know, advice you have. And I think a lot of getting things done has to do with just sitting down and doing it, you know, and once you are creating that vacuum and writing it, it kind of lives and breathes its own thing, and eventually, hopefully, you know, forces come together and make it happen. So ideally, we would love to shoot a season 2, and you know, it would just, you know, cost money, you know, and it's expensive, and unless I win the Mega Millions Tuesday or Friday. You know,
Well, thank you so much.
yeah, thank you so much.
It's
James.
enjoyable, and I love your enthusiasm, and you have some really good advice that's going to help people. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, no problem. Our pleasure.
So what I'd like to highlight from today's episode is the importance of casting the right actors for a specific role in your web series. Once you cast the right actors, then you can take the time necessary to really work with them to create the character that you had in mind when you wrote it, or the character that you see on the page that you received from your writer. So casting is really important, and working with those actors to bring that character to life. You have to count on the actor to bring something to the role, but you also want it to fit perfectly with what you envision for your character in your web series. I'm James Tucker, and you've been watching The Web Series Show. You can watch the full uncut episode on our website, thewebseriesshow.com.